Something I learned very early on as a business owner is that no one was going to chase my dreams for me. And in order to really make them a reality, I would not only have to figure it all out, but I'd also have to put in the work. This has looked different throughout my own journey, depending on what I was focused on at any given time. I wanted to bring someone on the podcast who had and continues to have the same drive as myself in what I can sum up as a you got this mentality, and who can really help anyone interested in starting a photography business or any creative journey really find the courage to go for it. Today I'm sitting down with my friend Corrie Butler, the owner of Corrie Butler Photography. After earning her master's in education and spending 5 wonderful years in a classroom, she now stays home with her 2 little boys while pursuing her passion for wedding, portrait, and lifestyle photography. Like myself, photography started as a hobby and quickly evolved into something much more for Corrie. She is upbeat, a ton of fun, incredibly talented, and I'm honored and excited to have her here as a guest with me today.
Welcome to At Home with Emma Rose. Your host, Emma Rose, has learned everything she knows the absolute hardest way possible and will help you navigate through the process of clearing the clutter, calling out your well-worn habits that might need changing, and finding the path to real, sustainable success in your business and life. Here's your host, educator, photographer, web designer, and latte lover, Emma Rose.
I don't know about you, but I am all about processes and workflows when it comes to running my creative business. My team can attest to the fact that I have a checklist for every task under the sun and systems in place to ensure every single thing that we do is not only set up correctly to stay organized, but to ensure that every single client has an elevated and personalized experience with me here at Emma Rose Company. This episode of At Home with Emma Rose podcast is sponsored by HoneyBook. HoneyBook is the management software I use to stay organized, manage invoices, send questionnaires, customize timelines, and get paid. Knowing that HoneyBook is on my side and streamlining my business truly makes the rest days that much sweeter. I've been with HoneyBook since the very beginning of my creative journey and can tell you that it's something I could not live without in my own business. The best news, HoneyBook is offering 50% off your entire first year for all At Home with Emma Rose podcast listeners. All you have to do is go to my website, emmarosecompany.com/honeybook to get started, get organized, and get your life back. Corrie, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for coming on today with me.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So we're going to just jump right in. I want to tell you to tell us a little bit more about you, where you're from, and how you eventually started your photography business.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm sure there's a couple of different versions as far as lengthwise goes here, but I'll give you a short and condensed version as much as I can here. I currently live in Boise, Idaho. And it is a place that we happily call home. We love it here so much. We've been here for 6 years now, but our hometown is in Kennewick, Washington. That's where we're both from. I grew up knowing that I was going to be an educator of some sort, always. Specifically with the younger kids. Elementary education was kind of my jam. So extremely fast forward to my graduating year from WSU. Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
Yes, we're both Cougs.
I love that. I received my degree in elementary education. I was super fortunate and I got hired as soon as I moved back home to Tri-Cities. And I was at my dream school with my dream team of teachers. It was awesome. And I was in 5th grade. So jumped right into teaching. And of course, then I jumped right into my master's program. Why not? It's first year of teaching. Let's just go back to school. So I then got my master's in elementary education with a focus on mathematics and literacy. Here I was teaching. I thought, I've set up shop. My life is awesome. I'm in the place I want to be, doing the thing I want to do. And then my world was rocked when my, at the time, boyfriend came home and told me he had received a job offer from Boise Fire.
Oh,
so I know.
I have a couple firefighter friends, and those jobs don't come easy when they come. And it's a place in Boise. I've heard incredible things about Boise in itself. Just a really cool place to live.
Yes, super accredited. And I came with him to Boise for his test. Like when he did his interview and his practical and all that stuff, I was there. I supported him. And truth be told, both of us were kind of like, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. And he was kind of newer. I mean, he had been testing for a couple of years and he traveled all over the place. But Boise was one place that I was like, man, if I got to go somewhere, that place will do.
Right.
So when he got the job, I'm not going to lie, my heart broke because I was fulfilling my dreams, and I knew what that meant for us. So, and I never planned on leaving Tri-Cities ever. I wanted to stay there for life. I love home. I love being with my family and all of my friends. But yeah, we picked up and we moved. June 6th was the last day that I taught 5th grade in Tri-Cities, and June 8th we got married, and June 10th we moved to Boise.
Oh my gosh.
It was nuts. Meanwhile, I'm working on my master's. So it was a crazy time in life, super hectic, but man, I understand now why it all happened. It was totally a part of our plan. So when we moved here, I, immediately went to work trying to find a job in the Boise school district. And again, I just got lucky. I worked really hard. We moved here in June and school was going to begin at the end of August. So I just went right to work. I didn't waste any time. And I was hired for a kindergarten position. Then after that year, I was unexpectedly moved to 2nd grade. Oh, that was the grade, man. The age, the kids are awesome. The curriculum was great. I was so, so happy. And I finally felt like, okay, we can settle down now. Like, let's just relax. We both have a job. We love where we live. Relax. So in true Butler style, we decided to start our family.
Perfect.
Let's add a kid to this mix. So cue Colby, our first son. And after Colby arrived, I went back to work because that's what you do, right? You have your child and then you just go back to work. Man, it was rough. I hated being away from home. I hated leaving him in the mornings, and becoming a stay-at-home mom was never something that I envisioned for myself, ever. Once I returned back to work, it became apparent really quickly that I was being worn thin, and I had a particularly tough group of students that year, and I spent all day serving those 23 students and their families, and then I would come home and I had 0 left to give to my own family. And it was really hard. So again, I loved my job, and as an educator, it's merely impossible to leave your work at work. So I worked at night. I was grading, keeping up with student journals, developing, modifying my curriculum to fit their needs, my students' needs. And I'd cry on the way to work, and then I'd find myself emotionally drained on the way home, and something had to give.
Yes.
And so it was that same year about tax season. I got my, the W-2 form in the mail, and you actually see your worth on paper. And it's not like I went into teaching blindly. Educators don't typically follow that path because of the pay. Our pay comes in the form of notes left on your desk, students saying I love you, growth that they make throughout the school year, stuff like that. That's how we get paid as educators, and we're happy with it. So basically, my personal financial contribution was paying for a sitter to come to our home and take care of our son while I was away working for these other families and serving these other children. And not much was left over in my paycheck after that expense. It was that day when we got that W-2 form, my husband looked at me and he was like, "Why don't you just stay home?" And I looked at him like, "Are you crazy?" And then inside I was thinking, okay, Corrie, pajamas all day long.
Right.
Hanging out with your son. Sign me up. I mean, I was like, it's a cakewalk, right? Not so much. Pajamas, yes, they're involved. If you're a stay-at-home mom, pajamas are involved. That's about the extent. That's as far as that goes. It was far from a cakewalk. Nothing beats being at home with my boys as they grow. I have 2 now. I'm really lucky that I get to do it. But truth be told, I immediately felt a void when I decided to stay at home, when we made it happen.
Me too. That's exactly was my transition. It's like I really wanted it and I wanted to be with Riley, but something was missing. I was like, I need something else, but still be home.
And it's hard to explain. And I was so emotional about it. And I would try to explain to Nick what I needed. And he was like, "Isn't this what you want?" And I'm like, "Yes, but there's a void. My gosh, I need an adult interaction. I need adults."
Amen.
So at that point in my life, I had a Canon 6D in my closet. I asked for a nice camera for Christmas, and in true father fashion, my dad researched and got me one of the nicest Canons on the market at the time. So I really wanted that camera so that I could document our lives while we were away from family. And I took pictures of anything and everything. And of course, we had Colby, and so he quickly became my favorite subject. And I would post the photos online, and that kind of evolved really quickly into other people asking if I would consider taking pictures of their family. Fast forward to today, and I've spent the last 3 years pouring myself into this profession as a photographer. And it's crazy to say that out loud. I'm a photographer and I get to stay at home with my boys. So I'm working. This void is more than fulfilled. And meanwhile, I'm present. I'm here with my family, and I'm able to help out financially. And I've met the most amazing people along the way. So that's kind of in a nutshell how I got to photography and where I'm at today.
Well, and I think this really segues into exactly why I wanted to have you on this show, because you and I have not ever met in person, but you and I, same thing, working. And then I had Riley, and something was, I wanted to be home. And for us, the childcare piece just wasn't aligning. There were no options.
Yeah.
And it didn't make sense for me to go back to work. Long story short, found photography and just dove all in. And I did not put that camera down for a year straight.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Sean would kind of tease me, and he says he regrets bugging me. Are you bringing the camera? Yeah, I'm bringing the camera. Because it quickly turned into my passion. And it's really cool to hear that was sort of similar to your story too. And just the whole stay-at-home mom thing too is such a tricky subject, because I don't want to ever make it sound, especially when I'm talking about it online, that being a stay-at-home mom isn't incredible and it's so much work. But you know what I'm saying? I needed something more. It's when you have that entrepreneur spirit, there's just something that,
and it kind of came out of left field for me. I mean, I never, ever in my wildest dreams wanted to stay home. That was not something that I wanted to do. I love work, and I love routine and structure, and I've never really been in a position to imagine not working. And I'm a people person. I love to talk, and I love kids. And my job was very tiring, very taxing, but I loved it. I still, to this day, I look back at my journey. I taught for 5 years, and I loved every second of it. But when Nick introduced that, opportunity and kind of brought it to life, we had to think about it. Like, financially, can we do this? Mentally, can I do this? Because it's no surprise to me that it didn't last very long, being in charge of diapers and naps and spit up and all that. I needed more. I just needed more.
Totally. And that's okay. And you found that. And so talk me through, so you realized, okay, photography, people were reaching out to you. That's exactly what happened to me. It's like, people want to pay me for this. I don't know about you, how much of a focus you put into the business side of things. That was something that I knew was always really zero. Funny. Okay. Yeah. I'm the opposite. I was like, I need to know how to market my business. I need to know, I'm such a tech nerd, and I need to know all the back end stuff. So talk me through what that transition was like when you started booking clients, because your work is so beautiful. I love it so much. Every time, we'll talk more about this, but I just feel things when I look at your pictures,
That makes me sweat. I love that.
No, I'm it's a genuine, and I had the honor of, revamping your whole website. And I resonate. While our styles are so different, I really resonate with your work, and I can't wait for people to check you out on this too. Yeah, of course. So
like I said, when it came to business, zero. I had no idea what all entailed in my mind. So naive of me. Okay, well, step one, I need to go buy CDs.
Yes.
I'm not joking. I have hilarious. 100. I have, those little disc containers.
Oh my gosh, yes.
First thing I did, I have to go buy CDs. So I did. I went to Best Buy, and I remember saving the receipt thinking, I do know that I can make this a tax write-off. So I saved the receipt. I thought, I'm doing my due diligence here. I stocked up on those because I was like, well, this will be a success, right? I need hundreds of these CDs because I'm going to take photos. I'll edit them. I'll download them to this disc, and then I will deliver it super fancy. I went on Etsy and I found cute little recycled CD containers, and I bought a stamp, and I had a logo made. Man, I thought I was doing all that I needed to do. I had no idea what an LLC was. I had no idea all the little details. A website? Are you kidding me? How am I supposed to make a website? All these things. I was just very naive to it all. I created an Instagram. I kept it really simple, Corrie Butler Photography. I just started taking pictures of my child, our dog, friends. I remember going on Instagram and searching the hashtag Boise bloggers or Boise models, lifestyle Boise bloggers, stuff like that.
Yes.
And I found this one girl. She was adorable. Her name is Danielle, and I'm still really good friends with her to this day. And I messaged her and I was like, hey, I'm jumping into photography. I would love for you to be a model. Are you comfortable with that? And she immediately responded and was so positive. She had lots of followers. I mean, and honestly, that's something that I looked into. I was thinking exposure. We met. It was so weird. I remember showing Nick, I sent him a drop pin of where I was because I was a little nervous. I found this person online and here we are meeting in a field. She was so nice. And we spent probably 2 hours or so just shooting in the sunlight. Those photos I'm still proud of to this day because I did it. I just went for it. I was not confident in myself. Did she know that? No. She thought I knew what I was doing. I was definitely shooting in automatic. I had no idea what manual settings were at that point. So,
I love you. I love you so much.
I literally thought I could run a business in automatic. I'm not kidding you, Emma. I was convinced. I probably shot in automatic for my first 6 months. No lie. Wow, that was a wake-up call real quick. As soon as I realized that I could control my settings and, the outcome of my images before I started editing them.
I want to touch on that too before I lose my thought. I love, though, that you put yourself out there because that's something I can't push enough on people is that you are never going to know until you ask. Like reaching out to that model. And
do it.
I reached out to my friend Nicole for a coffee date because I brought my journal, my questions, and sat down with her. And, we're very close friends now, but she really helped me understand the photography world too, and kind of different. It wasn't like, meeting up with a model to take pictures. I did plenty of that too, but just putting yourself out there it's hard, but you will never know until you try and ask.
Oh my gosh. I remember feeling like I was going to puke before I got out of my car.
Well, and you mentioned you were out on that shoot, like you owned the world. You have to have confidence because your subject, and we'll talk more about this and, how you capture your clients and the connections and emotion that come out of your sessions, but that you have to be confident because that confidence will transfer to the person in front of the camera.
Absolutely. 100% agree. But yeah, so that's how I started. And then from there, I feel like if you put something out for the world to see, you will attract it. Whatever you're wanting to do, put it out there. Don't be scared. Put it out there. How are people going to know that you are photographing families if you don't put it out there? But here's the thing. I did not do a lot of free work in the beginning. A lot of people recommend shoot for free, do style shoots.
I never did either.
In my mind, I'm trying to build a business. So rather than shooting for free with my ideal client, when I met with Danielle, that was definitely for free. She was doing me a favor by letting me explore my camera and the lighting scenarios. I definitely did a couple of those types of meetups, but once I really decided to go for it, a couple months after I started my Instagram handle, I reached out to my friends, close people, families that I knew. I told them that I would be willing to take their family photos for $40. That's nothing. It's in my mind, that's more than worth my time. At that point,
you have to do what feels right at that time, and evaluating that for yourself and what you're comfortable with.
And I was friends with other photographers, and I'll never forget them saying, "Corrie, you are worth so much more than that. Do not do that to yourself." But that's what felt right for me. I did not have the experience, and yes, I was confident, but no, I didn't know what I was doing. So I remember telling them $40. If you're down, let me know. Let's do it. And I just put it out there. And a lot of them took me up on this. And in fact, one of the first the first family session I ever done was with an old soccer player. Her name is Sid. I absolutely love her and her family. She had her little one at that point. So it was her husband, and her, what must have been he was less than a year old. And it was great. It was so much fun. We styled their outfits. I picked the location. I knew exactly what time was right for shooting. And she loved the photos. And she loved them so much that she ended up buying another session for a friend that she knew that lived in Boise. That's where it all began. My price point probably wasn't accurate, but that felt right to me. That
And
felt right to me.
it got you started.
Yep. So that's how I got started. And from there, it just snowball effect. My confidence became greater and greater. And my passion grew as I started working with these families. I quickly learned what I loved to shoot and what I didn't love to shoot. And that's a part of the process as well. Get out there and just start shooting. And you'll learn along the way what you love and what you don't necessarily enjoy shooting. And you go from there.
Exactly. And, I've done a huge shift lately on my feed. What you put out there is what you're going to book. And I don't post families anymore. Not that I don't love to shoot them. I still do every once in a while, but they're so few and far between. And then you go to your Instagram and it's such a beautiful blend of like family and wedding and babies and personal. Yeah. So, and just, I love the go for it. I just think people are so hindered by all the things that can go wrong. And yeah, things probably will go wrong. I can't tell you how many mistakes I've made in my own business. But I think the difference is being able to make that mistake and learn from it and how to avoid it later.
Absolutely.
Instead of letting it stop you.
Right.
What advice do you have for somebody thinking about exploring photography?
Well, like I've said, go for it is kind of just my mindset. Where there's passion, I truly believe that success will follow. If you're willing to put the work out there to make it happen, it will happen. Mindset is everything in more than just photography. Seek out what you think you'll want to shoot and start there. Style the sessions like I was talking about, outfits, location, lighting scenario. Don't let the clients be in charge of what you do. This is your endeavor. I think styling as much as you possibly can when you're beginning is essential. Feature what you want to be shooting. Like I said already, whatever you put out into the world, that's what you're going to attract. So if you're posting senior sessions, that's what you're going to get inquiries for. If you're posting weddings, you're likely going to get more inquiries for weddings. Learn your settings. The sooner I got control of my camera, the sooner I found my style.
I think that was my golden ticket too. I would have eventually found manual mode, but my husband bought me a class right after I had Riley. And it was like a 2-hour class, but it was all about manual mode. So from that moment forward, I never took my camera out of manual, just from the very beginning. So I'm grateful for that. I wouldn't have known though, unless I would have figured it out. But
and good for you as soon as I set, like you said, exactly the same scenario. As soon as I set my camera to manual, I never took it off of that again. I just had to go for it. And I wished somebody would have told me to do that sooner than later, because like I said, as soon as I really got a grasp of shooting in Kelvin, and I had no idea what aperture or ISO, any of that stuff was. As soon as I learned, the exposure triangle and all of that stuff, I really started to dig deeper into my own style. And I welcomed imperfections, emotion over perfection. I heard that time and time again. But as soon as I really understood that, more often than not, those images that moved me and weren't necessarily nailed, those are my favorites. The ones that portray emotion, those are the ones that are on my walls in my home. Connect with other creatives, find people that inspire you and reach out to them. Invest in yourself. As soon as I had the money, I invested it in a mentor session with Michaela Madden. She's unbelievable. That girl is a genius. I met with her. She's a Boise local, and we spent hours in a coffee shop, and it was totally created to fit me and my needs. I said I was confident, but man, after that mentor session, I walked out of there with my head held so high.
That's amazing.
So invest in yourself, and for the love of all things, do whatever you have to do to avoid that nasty comparison trap. Be you and find the style that fits you. The photos that I was attracted to on Instagram or on other photographers' websites, the ones that I loved more than anything, they really weren't my style.
That's me. I love your style, but what I do is totally different, but I'm so drawn into those tones, It's so funny that you say that.
It killed me. For years, I remember thinking, why can't I be doing what they're doing? What presets are they using? What were their settings? What camera are they using? What lens did they have? I asked those questions to any image that I loved. And now I look at myself and I'm like, Corrie.
I love it.
Now I'm getting those questions, and I'm like, girl, I get you. I was there.
I got you. Yeah, totally.
But yeah, I don't know. I cannot stress that enough. Just do what makes you happy. Shoot the things that you're passionate about. Don't look at what other people are doing and wonder why you can't be doing the same, because we're all different. The people that I was comparing myself to, they didn't have kids. I'm like, why are they in a different country every freaking weekend? Why can't I do that? Corrie, one, I don't want to do that.
Exactly.
I'm a homebody. I don't want to be doing that. So why are they getting under my skin? Two, I've got kids. And they're 20, early 20s. That's why I can't do that, because we're at different seasons in our life. That's why.
I think so. That's so important to hit on.
Yeah. So as soon as I pushed that to the side and, got out of my own head, that's when real magic started happening for me.
That's incredible. I love it. So more about that. So something like I touched on earlier is just that your work is just so emotional. What are your strategies, or like maybe give a rundown on a couple of key points for people approaching a session to create more genuine, authentic, imagery?
I'll never forget. I had this same question. It's surreal right now to me. I'm kind of having a moment, Emma.
Oh,
it's crazy to me that I'm being asked that, because I was the one asking that like a year ago.
It's a very special feeling experiencing that. Yeah.
It is. And I went to the first workshop and only workshop I've ever been to. I don't even remember what year that was. 2016. And I remember Sammy Jo, she is one of my favorite photographers. And I remember seeing that she was going to be in the lineup. And I was like, that girl knows how to portray emotion. I am going to sit front row for that workshop, and I'm going to soak in every word that she says. And I remember somebody asked that question, and I was like, okay, this is it.
I love it.
Lean forward, Corrie. And she was like, you guys, I get this emotion from my couples and my families because I am outrageous behind the camera.
Yes.
And I remember thinking, okay, that's it. There really is no magic recipe to get emotion from your clients. The best advice that I can give, like you had mentioned earlier, whatever you put out there for your couples, your families, your clients, that's how they're going to feed off of that energy 100% during the session. And Emma, I am a spider monkey behind my lens.
Yes.
I don't stop talking. I don't stop moving. I shout and hoot and holler throughout the session. Basically, if you're within a 2-mile radius of wherever I'm shooting, you're going to hear me.
I love it.
Because it's me as a person, though. I'm not putting on a show. I'm not pretending to be someone that I'm not. I am myself. And they immediately feel at ease. I mean, I can just sense it. They feel at ease. And if I ever sense that my client is a little uncomfortable, I'm going to curse here. I shoot the shit with them, and I kind of give them a hard time as we're shooting, and that makes them feel comfortable. I joke with them. I find the things that make the kids laugh, and we follow through with that. And I let them know too, especially during family sessions, I let them know my focus is on your kids right here. So you're here, and of course you are going to be the focal point in some images, but just know that my attention, I'm going to give my energy to these little ones, and the parents totally feed off of that.
Totally.
And when I'm working with couples, it's the same thing. I really put attention on making sure that the man involved feels at ease, because the wife, she's usually like, this is her deal. Let's do this, girl. She's ready to rock and roll. But it's the men. They don't typically like to be there.
I think one of the best compliments I get and continue to get with my couples is, hey, they text me after, say, the engagement session and are like, Emma, he was so dreading this and he said he had fun, and that's my bet, because same thing. I focus on the men because, like you said, the girls are there, they're ready. And when they see their person building confidence and having fun, it just radiates.
Yeah. So that's just what I do. I guide the couples, I guide the families throughout the session. Like I said, I don't stop talking during the sessions.
That's important too, filling the silence. Like when things are quiet, it's awkward. It just is. You have to be comfortable filling that space.
And my style, I'm sure you've picked up on this. I love the outdoors. I love being in the mountains. And I usually have a little bit of a hike into our location spot. And even if I'm with a family, they know ahead of time that we're likely going to be doing a little bit of walking. And I love that aspect, not only because that's what gets me the unique shots. I'm going to places that people typically don't like to go to or don't venture to. But that gives me an opportunity to get to know my clients a little bit better. And when I'm working with couples, when I get together with them for their actual engagement session, it's usually the first time I've met the fiance, but I've already met with the bride-to-be at that point. So I feel like we're friends already.
Right.
Texting ahead of time, they always text me pictures of their outfits, and I'm more than happy to give them my opinions. So I feel like we're kind of friends before the session even begins, whether it's a family session, a newborn lifestyle session, or a wedding.
I think that's important too. When you touch on the wardrobe, finding your style is I am all in hands-on with sending them direct links to certain boards on Pinterest that are not even of people, just of color palettes. I encourage them to send me a photo of what they're planning on wearing. It can make a big difference.
Oh, I totally agree. I send out a welcome guide no matter what session it is. And each individual session has its own separate welcome guide that gives tips and tricks as they're preparing to meet with me for our time together. And one page on its own is color palettes and what works and what doesn't work and different pictures so they can visually see things that in my opinion, are flattering for a session. So I try to prepare them as much as I can beforehand, and I think it pays off.
For sure. When did you shoot your first wedding? What was that like?
I had a massive fear of weddings, a huge investment. There's so much involved. And honestly, I've got a story to follow this, but we'll save that. We'll save that for another day. But I really did have a fear of weddings. We paid so much for my personal wedding, and what I'm charging for my weddings is more. So I know that the investment is huge. I know that there is a huge risk involved in being a wedding photographer. So I had this crazy fear involved with weddings. It was just an untouchable session type for me. I was happy with my families. I was happy doing newborn photography. That was that. But in 2017, my good friend Tina, she was engaged and she reached out to me, and she didn't ask me to do her wedding. She told me I was going to be there to document it. And I was like, you're out of your mind if you think I can do this. I've never done weddings before. I've never done a styled shoot before. I just didn't know what on earth made her think I was ready for this. Not to mention, I was super duper pregnant, but she refused the answer no. So May 2017, my husband and I drove ourselves out to Lincoln City, Oregon, the most beautiful landscape ever. And I documented their elopement. I remember leaving and I said to Nick, I'm doing it. I am going to do weddings. I don't have to do a lot, but the way that I felt, my feet were huge. My stomach was big. I was exhausted. Weddings are a whole nother beast. But the high that I got from that day was amazing. And weddings are a great financial, talk about a way to make money. So in my mind, if I can just take on a couple of weddings, 5 weddings a year, it would bring in good money. Clearly, I'm passionate for it. More happiness than I've felt in a session before. And delivering those galleries is something else. 2017 was when I said, I'm going to go for it. I can do this. Before I did weddings, though, I invested in a camera. I wanted to have 2 bodies. And I needed to have a camera body that had a backup system. So I just made sure that I was prepared ahead of time. I can't tell you how many freaking SD cards and CF cards I brought to that wedding that day.
Good for you. Yes.
Yes. I felt very prepared. So 2017, I said, I'm going to go for it. And I did that one wedding. And in 2018, I had 8. It was more than I wanted to take on, but I was kind of in that mindset of saying yes. Right. That's the way to do it.
And I don't know if that's an art you can learn right out of the gate. You have to experience overwhelm and too much to be able to really learn the art of no. I think it's possible, but you kind of have to go through the really tough to know your limits, I think.
Oh, yeah. And I was so burnt out. Oh, my gosh. Come September of last year, I didn't know left from right or what was up and what was down. I was so overwhelmed. It was amazing. Weddings is something that I absolutely want to have on my calendar every year. I love family sessions so much that I'm going to continue doing them too. But here's the deal. I have learned since then how to say no.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's something that I had to learn. And It was a season of 2018. And I also learned that whatever you say yes to in 1 year is something that your future self is going to have to commit to. I have 6 weddings booked and I am so happy with where I'm at right now. And I'm looking at 2020 weddings and I'm like, is this real life right now? I'm just so happy with weddings. They bring a different type of joy that family sessions don't quite. Of course, no doubt, I love doing family sessions. My passion is definitely behind that. But being able to be present when somebody commits their life to another and being in charge of documenting it is something that words can't really explain.
I love that. And it's so true. And it's hard to know that until you experience it. Let's jump in here. I'm all about self-care. How do you take care of Corrie?
This is a real quick answer here. Anybody that knows me knows that I love me a good bath.
Yeah, girl.
It's as simple as that. I'll take a bath daily, sometimes 2 times a day with multiple refills. I don't mess around with my bath time. That's all I need. I'm a real simple girl when it comes to that. A glass of wine and a bath can really do wonders for me. And if you want to take it a step further, I'm obsessed with the outdoors. I was raised out in the outdoors. My dad was an avid hunter. And so I grew up in elk camps. Getting outside really does wonders for me too, preferably the mountains. So recharging is something that I do often with my husband's schedule. We get to spend time outdoors and we go camping. And don't get me wrong, though, I do love some girl time. Put me in a spa and I'm a happy person. Recharging is something that's really important to me. This year, like I said, I'm saying no to more so that I can say yes to the things that matter. And self-care is something that I pushed to the wayside last year. And I refuse to do that this year. So
I love it. Yeah. It's hard to do, but one of the best things you can do to not only fuel your life, but your business and your people and everything. That's fabulous. Back to just business things. And what's the best investment you've ever made for your business?
Oh my gosh. Best investment I've ever made. There's a couple of things that I've invested in that I really can't live without.
You talked about that mentorship. And I think if you find the right person that you trust to really provide you with the valuable, definitely know what you're getting into, because I've heard horror stories with mentorships and I love that you had an awesome experience because that's huge.
Yeah, mentor sessions are huge. Talking solely photography here, Photo Mechanic is a game changer. I waited way too long to get that, especially with my first elopement that I didn't have it. And so I uploaded them all to Lightroom and I culled through Lightroom.
The worst.
The worst.
People don't even know, I'll have this in the show notes, you guys, a link to Photo Mechanic. It's the best software. Doesn't even matter. Doesn't even have to be for weddings. I mean, I can cull a wedding in 30 minutes.
Done. Yep.
Yeah. I would
agreed. Yeah. Even if you're just starting out with your camera and you're a mom and you take pictures of your kids, let's be real, moms. Yeah. How many pictures are you taking of your kids before you actually settle on one?
Totally.
Photo Mechanic is so amazing. So Photo Mechanic for sure has been one of the best investments. And then no shame, shout out here, Kylie Morgan, another local photographer. She has created a wedding template.
Ooh, I'm gonna write this down.
Because Emma, you would totally geek out over this. You can make these things. You're good with your tech. I do not know Photoshop. Period. I do not work in Photoshop at all. So for over a year after I did Tina's wedding, I really, really wished that I had been able to provide her with some type of something that was tangible, something that she could hold, like a magazine that would help her prepare for her day. Granted, she was a videographer. One.
I send my brides a full. It's like a 100-page magazine on.
Yes, this is totally your jam, but me, not so much. I am super organized and I will create things on pages all day long, but Photoshop is foreign to me. I paid a good amount of money for her to actually make me a wedding guide. So she made my first one. I helped her with the wording so that it was my voice, and it was all my images, of course, but she printed them and I had them delivered to me, and what an investment that was. But I told her, I said, Kylie, can I please get this in template form? And the very next year she released it, and I jumped on board immediately. And it has been the best investment because I just feel like, and I'm sure you can attest to this, it's something that you send to your clients. And when they receive something like that, it just really sets you apart from other photographers. It just, the time and effort and care that went into creating that meant something to me. And so I know that my brides appreciate it. So Photo Mechanic and that wedding template are two greatest things that I've spent my money on for my business.
Cool. No, I love that. I think it's easy to jump to some of those huge investments. I'm not saying it's not an investment, but those are the little things that save hours and hours and hours of time and create that awesome client experience, like with the magazine.
Oh, yeah. One of the biggest things that I really, really wanted to harp on, and we did talk about it, was being okay with saying no. That honestly, like, that's just so important to me. And I do put it out there on my Instagram because I want people to see that I don't take on 20 weddings a year. I don't do that. So I'm going to say it has to be a good fit for me as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't say yes to every inquiry that comes across my desk. And honestly, you won't be the right photographer for everyone, and that's okay. Like I said yes to everything when I started out, and things that weren't necessarily filling my cup or things that I wasn't passionate about were things that I was committing to because I had that people pleaser mentality. And when you do that, my gosh, you're doing such a disservice to yourself, but them as well.
Totally.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I do that with obviously photography too, but web design. I mean, if I don't feel that connection to their work or to them like personally, it's not worth, I could build them a great website, but I don't know. I don't think they'd get the best thing from me. It should be someone else, and trusting that instinct.
And if they're going to be investing in you, then they deserve to have someone that's going to put their heart behind their work.
Yeah.
So if there's something that I really just wanted to highlight, it's that as soon as I started saying no more often, I was able to serve other parts in my life that I was neglecting. Family, that's the reason that I left my dream job. I left teaching so that I could be present for my family. So I'll be damned if my photography is going to take up so much time that I'm no longer present for the people that matter the most.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really important to be able to say no. It's okay to say no.
And you learn, yes, it's hard to turn down income, but that income could also create so much more stress in your life. And it's
right. And if you're doing something that's not making you happy, what are you doing? Spend your time with people that will value you and your time and your talent and your family. I work with people that understand I'm a photographer, yes, but above all, I am a mother.
And a wife, yes. You have a life outside of your business.
Right.
Yeah.
And they get that, and they hire me knowing that.
Yes.
And I think that is so important. And some people will disagree. Some people will argue that if you're running a business, your priority should be making every customer happy. Yes, agreed. It is important that you're pleasing your customers, but you got to find your customers. You got to find your right clientele.
Totally.
Find people that are going to value you. It's so important. So it's okay to say no. It's okay to say no.
I love it. So to wrap things up, where can people find you, Corrie?
I'm going to make this really simple for everyone. Corrie Butler Photography on all platforms across the board. That's my Pinterest, my Instagram, my website.
Love it.
Facebook. Corrie Butler Photography.
You're the best. So Corrie, thank you so much for coming on. I had a blast with you and cannot wait for the world to listen.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I still can't believe that you asked me to be a part of this. I'm so excited.
Thanks for listening to At Home with Emma Rose. Visit athomewithemmarose.com and dive into the show notes for every episode. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.